Welcome back. It is Friday, March 15th in the NBA. My four best bets are on the way. Let's hop into a recap from yesterday, a 1-3 day, and it deserved to be a lot better than that. Let's talk about it. Our best bet of the day, Jalen Green, his over in points, cashed pretty easily. The man was crossing everybody, hitting turnaround threes. He was on one yesterday. We appreciate him. Should have made it a bigger play. Our losses, let's start with the bad beat of the day. Sixers plus 8.5. They legit were covering the whole game until the last 5 seconds. They were even at a point in the fourth quarter were favored to win the game. And they choke so hard, lose by 9 on the dot, and you had Giannis make 4 free throws to put them away. So it was just brutal. Then we talk about our other two losses, our two props. We took unders. Grayson Allen, I mean, are we surprised he went 8 for 9 from the field? Had one of his best shooting games of his career? No, it's just kind of been our luck on some unders recently. Still love the spot, but obviously he went over. And then DeAndre Ayton, 12 points plus rebounds at halftime. His live bet, 24.5. I just knew once that Sixers bet didn't hit that Ayton one was going to have some brutal beat in there, and Ayton just absolutely went berserk in the second half. Tip your cap to him. I know it's been a bad stretch the last few days. Obviously, our record on the season is plus 37 units. We've been really good on the year, but you're going to have to survive some bad stretches, and there's been some bad basketball. We've had some bad picks here and there, but man, we have found any way and every way to lose over the last, really just in March. Just found tons of different ways to lose, and that's just the NBA. There's a lot of variance, especially this time of year. We're just going to have to push through it. Obviously, if you want to reduce your unit size, you can, but if you want to buy some stock, probably buy some stock in COS because we're certainly due some winners. We're due some good luck to go our way. I really like the picks today. We got 3 picks, 4 picks total. One of them is just a half unit play for some value. I really like the slate today. Let's hopefully have the ball bounce our way. I can't go out there and shoot for the guys, although if I'm taking an under, I wish I was shooting because, man, it's just been some brutal beats there. But either way, let's dive into the picks today. I do want to talk about one thing before we do that. That is a great offer on DraftKings right now for my people in North Carolina. Look, if you've been taking a hit to your bankroll, well, sign up for DraftKings using our link and you'll get some extra bankroll to play with. $250 in bonus bets. Take advantage of it. Great offer down below. Sign up, top link in description. Bet $5 on anything. And I have a DraftKings pretty much exclusive play later on in this video. And you also get $250 in bonus bets instantly, regardless of how that play went. So check it out. Details down below. But you guys came here for some NBA picks. I'm going to dive into my best bet of the day. This is a guy that we need to get us out of a rut. It's the guy that I'm rocking his shirt jersey. It's Victor Wembanyama. I really like his over 21.5 points today. Minus 105 on DraftKings. Or not on DraftKings, on BetMGM. I think DraftKings right around the same value, though. Now, if you want to take it at 22.5, you can. I do want to put a cautionary note here. Wembanyama has landed on 22 points on the dot, I believe, 5 times. So 21.5 is obviously a key number to get for him. Now, obviously, Wemby's been a little bit hit or miss recently, largely due to some bad matchups, but I really like his matchup tonight against Jokic and the Nuggets. Now, obviously, Wembanyama, we know he's capable of going out there and dominating and scoring 30 points against anyone, but I think the path of least resistance for the Spurs offense is trying to target Jokic, and that's what we see a lot of teams do. We've seen the Nuggets give up a lot of points to opposing centers, and for that reason alone, I mean, they got some good defenders out there. KCP, really good defender. Aaron Gordon, a really good defender. I don't expect either of those two guys to check Wembanyama, and we've seen over his last 8 games, he's averaged 21.9 points per game, going over this line in 5 of 8. He's had 3 games where he really stunk, and 3 of those games, he only shot 10, 12, and 13 times. The Houston Rockets kind of had his number. He didn't shoot a ton versus them. And then he also had 1 game against Rudy Gobert and the Timberwolves where he just didn't shoot a ton. I expect that to change tonight where we see him get closer to the 15, 17, heck, even 20 field goal attempts tonight. We know the Nuggets can play at a fast pace. And same for the Spurs. We're coming off a game where they played super slow against the Rockets. I think they get it going a little bit more tonight. And I think we see that Victor Wembanyama play pretty well. I mean, when he gets the field goal attempts, he hits the over. Like I said, the last 8 games, the 5 games he actually shot more than 14 times, he hit the over in that game and in those games. And I really think he's got a good chance tonight to get, up those field goal attempts. We saw in his only game versus Denver back on November 26th, he did only play 25 minutes, but did hit the over, had 22 points. Like I said, one of those key numbers, but shot 7 for 17. And he just didn't play a ton, just didn't shoot well, 41%. But the 17 field goal attempts are promising, and he's played 30 or more minutes in 6 straight games. Sure, could they get blown out here? Yeah, but I think this is a spot where we see him get a lot more volume. Like I said, over this last 8-game stretch, he's had a couple games with low volume. The immediate game after that, we saw one of those games, he had 17 field goal attempts and 7 free throw attempts. The other game, 25 field goal attempts and 9 free throw attempts. I mean, Trey Jones was pretty popular in social media for not passing the ball to Wembanyama, despite him being pretty open on a lot of different possessions. Maybe we see them get the ball to him a little bit more. You look at him, he's over this line in 8 of his last 10 home games with 15 or more shots, averaging nearly 25 points per game. So I really feel like this is a good spot where we see Wembanyama bounce back. He's obviously taken a lot of pride in trying to be competitive and win at home, and also going up against one of the best players in the NBA. well, you've seen him step up his game against those best players. We saw him, have a pretty good game against Joel Embiid, and that was when Embiid dropped 70 on his dome. I really think Wembanyama is in for a good spot. He's my best bet of the day. Only a 1-unit play, but if you want to play this one, and that's the only one, it's my most confident play. I really like his over 21.5 points as my first pick of the day. Now, second pick, we're going to dive into another prop. And it's actually going to be in the same game, something I do not do a ton of, and it's an identical line because it is Jamal Murray of the Denver Nuggets over 21.5 points, minus 105 on DraftKings. Now, Jamal, this line could go up to 22.5. I think that's what FanDuel had. I don't mind it there. If you want to do like a parlay, I honestly considered like 20 points and 6 assists for Jamal. I think that was about minus 110, minus 105 on DraftKings, but I'll just trust him to get the 2 extra points instead of trying to get cute with the SGP. I really like Murray tonight, and while I don't take a lot of 2 props in one game, I think this game's competitive. I think the Spurs can keep this one competitive at home, and even if they don't, let's hope Murray's the one that's making it a blowout, and Murray does play a lot at the start of the fourth, just like Wembanyama, so as long as it's not like a 40-point game, if it's like 20, 25 points, Murray and Wembanyama should start the fourth, so we should get some extra minutes there if that's what we need to cover, but I think this game's close. Like, I'm not saying that the Spurs win, but I think they can keep it at least competitive at home. Now, Jamal Murray, his last 9 games, he's kind of turned up the switch. It's kind of what he does as the playoffs approach, and in the last 9, he's averaged a little over 23.5 points per game. And he's over this line at 6 of 9. Now, in that span, he's averaged a little over 17 field goal attempts per game. A great number. Now, that does include a game that is really lowering those averages, a game against the Miami Heat where he got injured, only played 14 minutes. I think he shot like 6 times, and that game scored 6 points. He got injured in the first half. If you remove that game over the last 9, and you just look at his last, let's say, 8 games, removing that one, 25.8 points per game and 19 field goal attempts. So, if you're telling me I can get Jamal Murray to score 22 points in a pretty good matchup against the Spurs, and he's shooting a lot, I think this is a good spot to take him. Like I said, he will face the Spurs, and the Spurs have been an interesting defense over the last, really all season, but the last 15 games. The Spurs have allowed the 5th most points per game to point guards, and the fewest catch-and-shoot made threes in the NBA. They've kind of shifted their defense where they're like, you know what? We're going to guard all those wing guys like Michael Porter Jr., KCPs. We're going to guard you tight. We're going to make you go one-on-one or take the pick and roll, and we're going to try to funnel you into Victor Wembanyama. Obviously, they want guys to go into where Victor is because we know, he's a defensive player of the year candidate and he can block and steal, get tons of stocks, if you will. That's kind of what they've been doing. Now, good for us. Jamal Murray does not rely on catch and shoot threes really, or catch and shoot attempts. It's just not his game. Now, obviously, he can make them, but that's not really what he's doing. What he's doing a lot more of, running a lot of pick and roll with Jokic, getting to the mid-range and knocking down shots. And with Wembanyama playing drop coverage, I really think this is a spot we see Jamal Murray walk into the mid-range shots. He's going to get some open ones. Obviously, maybe Wemby is a little late contest, but I really think he's going to have the open opportunities and going to have a lot of volume tonight against the Spurs. I just feel like this is a really good spot to back Jamal. Also, he's coming off a bad game, only went 5 of 14 from the field against the Heat. Didn't play, a ton of minutes in that one, but if this game's close, he should get even more minutes. And during this, the last 8-9 games I talked about, he's only had a couple games where he went below 40% from the field, last game included. The previous 2 that he did it, scored 24 and 37 points. I know a lot of people are going to be on Jokic because the Spurs do give up a lot of points to opposing centers, but I think that Jamal Murray is the side I'd rather be on. I think the volume will be there for him coming off a bad game. Honestly, I liked Michael Porter Jr.'s under. Knock on wood, he doesn't go scorched earth again, but I just don't love the catch and shoot guys like KCP, like MPJ. Feels like a lot more of Jamal Murray tonight. I think that's the guy you want to back. So Jamal Murray, I really like his over in points. Now, normally I'd probably segue to Logan, but he isn't taking the day off, and I can't blame him. After that Sixers bad beat, I would want to take the day off too. He will return with a spread pick tomorrow, or a team total, or an over-under, but nothing really stuck out to him. And like I told Logan, you don't want to force picks out there. Like I said, I really have liked the picks I've been giving out. Just had some bad luck on the props, but I know that there's going to turn around, and I think today is the day. Now, our third pick is going to be a 2-leg parlay. There's an easy pivot, but I like this a little bit more than taking, the individual line for these 2 guys. But let's talk about this one, and then I will talk about some pivots, and I'll talk about why I like this one. Now, like I said, there's pretty much DraftKings exclusive for right now until FanDuel releases some alt lines, but I really like this one. Emmanuel Quickly, under 25.5 points, and Terry Rozier to score 12 plus points, minus 110 on DraftKings. Now, the easy pivot is just to take Quickly's regular under, which is about 23.5 points. Honestly, would probably prefer his points plus rebounds line at 29.5, but I'm just going with the points here for Quickly, taking the under at 25.5, buying a couple points, which you are allowed to do on DraftKings sometimes. They have the alt point lines. So I'm taking that, and I'm pairing it with Terry Rozier. Honestly, I really like Terry Rozier's matchup tonight. I considered his regular over, and I considered Quickly's regular under, just kind of to buy in a couple points each way and hoping that that's cashing. And if the lines are super sharp, we should cash and hopefully we are a winner instead of, relying on each of the individual plays. But I don't mind either of them. Terry Rozier's over or Quickly's regular under. Now, Quickly, his last 3 games, obviously the Raptors super banged up. Last 3, 21, 29, and 25 points versus Phoenix, Portland, and Detroit. Now, obviously, they're missing a ton of guys. I'm not going to come out here and say, hey, they're fully healthy. They're missing, obviously, Scotty Barnes, Jakob Poeltl. I believe RJ Barrett is out due to his brother passing away. So sending all my thoughts and prayers to RJ Barrett and his family because that's just terrible. But outside of that, let's get back to the Quickly analysis. He's faced some good matchups. This is not a good matchup, though. The last 15 games, the Magic, who he will face tonight, 7th best defensive rating, 7th fewest fast break points allowed, 5th fewest points in the paint allowed, and the 2nd fewest field goal attempts really allowed from their opponents, plus playing at the 2nd slowest pace. Those last 2 kind of go hand in hand. Obviously, the Raptors are a team that want to get out in transition, try to move the ball, but that's not the Magic's forte. They want to play slow, force you into the half court, trust their defense, and then let their offense do their thing. And I don't think they'll have any problem scoring on the Raptors. The Raptors legit don't play defense, but I think they'll just try to slow down the pace, slow down the Raptors, and if Quickly's going to go over, I think he's going to have to make a lot of tough shots. The Magic don't give up a ton of free throw attempts, and we also don't see the refs calling a lot of free throws either, so I don't see them getting a lot of free points from that spot, and they're going to make, Jalen Suggs or Gary Harris go out and guard Quickly, 2 really good defenders, and they're going to make life difficult on Quickly. If he goes out there and drops 26, I will tip my cap. But it is tough to score 26 plus points against the Magic, and I just think this is a tough spot for Quickly. So I like his regular under at 23.5, but I bought 2 points to go up to 25.5 because I really like, on the flip side, Terry Rozier to at least score 12 points, if not 15 or maybe even 20 tonight. Rozier has 12 or more points in 13 straight games. He actually just scored 17 on 17 shots against Detroit on March 5th. So really inefficient game against the Pistons. Still easily cleared the line. Detroit, we obviously know, they're not a good defensive team. No, by any stretch of the imagination, they're not good. But with Tyler Hero still out, Terry Rozier's getting a lot of field goal attempts, 13 or more in 5 straight. And this just feels like a game on the road in Detroit. How aggressive will Jimmy Butler be? I don't really know. It's the dang Pistons. How aggressive are you going to be against one of the worst teams in the NBA? So I think we see them lean on Terry Rozier a little bit more. Hasn't really been shooting a ton of threes, which is not bad for us. We don't want Rozier settling for threes. Instead, getting to the mid-range, which is what the Pistons give up a ton of. So I really like this spot for Terry Rozier tonight to score 12 points. I think his line's like 15, 16.5. I like that too, but 12 should be pretty safe for Terry Rozier. So combine these two fellas together as a 2-leg parlay. It's not an SGP. They don't play against each other. 2-leg parlay, about minus 110 on DraftKings. I wish we got plus value here, but I really like the spot for both these two fellas, either fading Quickly or back in Terry Rozier. I like it. I like this parlay. It's third pick of the day. And the fourth and final pick of the day, the first 3 picks were wall for 1 unit. This is only a half unit play, and you'll understand why. It's all talking about Dejounte Murray of the Atlanta Hawks. Now, here's how I'm backing his props tonight. I'm taking a 2-leg SGP. Dejounte Murray under 26.5 points and over 8.5 assists for plus 233 on FanDuel. I'm only playing this for a half unit, so if it loses, we only lose a half unit. If we cash, we win back over 1 unit. So I like the risk there at plus 233. Obviously, these lines could change, and there's a couple books that do not have lines for Dejounte Murray, and probably by the time this video drops, it's still going to be the case. However, I don't expect the lines to change a ton. Now, why don't they have lines? Well, number one, Bogdan Bogdanovic and Jalen Johnson, both questionable with injuries. Obviously, Jalen's missed the last 4 games. Maybe he returns, and Bogdan's been ill, but maybe he plays tonight. He gutted through the last game. Now, I'll take this stab at this play regardless. Obviously, the lines could go up or down depending on that injury status, but I really like this play, and I'll talk about why. Now, with Dejounte Murray, and I've obviously watched him a ton. He's been a COS Hall of Famer in the past, and he still will have that in his heart. But with him, you're either getting 30 points or 10 assists. You're not normally getting either or both of them. And I really liked his over 8.5 assists tonight, but I'm going to pair it with the under because I think if he's getting 9, 10 assists, probably not scoring a ton. It normally goes hand in hand. Just look at his last 3 games. Has a couple games with 40 points, gets like 3 or 4 assists because he's not passing it. You shoot 25 times. However, I like the matchup for him to pass a little bit more tonight than for him to score. And here's why. The last 15 games, Jazz, most assists allowed in the NBA, most catch and shoot threes allowed as well. What they do is if you try to drive on them, they're going to probably double you and let you kick it out to a shooter. And those guys are wide open, stroking them and just knocking down threes. And what the Hawks are going to do if Bogdan and Jalen Johnson play or don't, they're going to spam 3-point shooters out there. We're talking Garrison Matthews, Wesley Matthews, guys of that nature that really are out there to just shoot threes. And that's exactly what the Jazz want you to do, is shoot a ton of threes. And while it hasn't necessarily worked defensively, in my opinion, what they do is that's their bread and butter. They're going to make you shoot threes to beat them. And that's obviously, Dejounte Murray can make threes, but that's not really his bread and butter typically. It's typically kicking it out to those guys. And that's where I think the assists come in. So I think we see a lot of driving, kicking out to the shooters. Let's hope they make those shots for those assists. And if they're making them, probably Dejounte Murray is going to keep feeding them. You also can feed Capella because they really don't have a lot of size down low. Walker Kessler coming off the bench, but still down Markkanen and a bunch of other guys. And we just saw on February 27th, just a few weeks ago, these two teams played. In that game, Murray, 17 points, shot 7 for 19, and he had 11 assists. Only like 13 potential assists. He's been averaging a lot more potential assists than that. If you're just looking for an individual play, Dejounte Murray's over an assist is the way to go. But I'm hoping that we can get a little bit of value. If he can go out there and get 12, 13 assists, hopefully he's not absolutely cooking and scoring 26.5 points. So I really like this at plus 233 on FanDuel for just a half unit. Not going to go too crazy and try to put a full unit, try to win over 2. I don't want to try to do that. Just do a half unit. Obviously, we've been cold, but I think we got a good chance at smacking this one here. So let's hope Murray's missing all his shots, but all of his teammates are making their shots and he's dishing it to them. I really like this SGP for Dejounte. Obviously, wait if your book is not posting lines for him, but it should be around the same sort of line. So, like I said, individual line, I like assists more than the under in points, but they kind of go hand in hand. They're correlated. If he's scoring 30 plus points, he's probably not getting us 9 assists. On the flip side, if he's getting 10, 12 assists, probably not getting 27 plus points. Obviously, they go hand in hand. So that is my fourth and final pick of the day. A reminder to stay half unit play. If you typically put $10 on each play, I'd only put $5 on that one. But those are my 4 favorite picks of the day. Like I said, Logan will return tomorrow with his favorite pick, so stay tuned for that. We'll have some more spreads and over-unders tomorrow, so I know you'll have to wait one day for that, but he is out due to some extenuating circumstances. He can talk about that later and if he wants to. But those are my favorite picks today. You guys have a wonderful day. We will have a new New Zealand video, one of the best. It's going to be a crazy video. Go check it out. It'll be on the second channel. I'll link it on the screen when it is live. Go show the second channel some love if you can. If you got some Friday during your work day, go check out the second channel videos. Put a lot of work and effort into those ones. And of course, if you want to sign up for DraftKings, you're in North Carolina, get those $250 in bonus bets. Details down below, top link in description. You guys have a wonderful Friday, and I'm seeing you guys back tomorrow, recapping a winning day. I'll see you guys then. Peace.